Unaudited Costs. How is the MEK making all this money? In recent years, numerous restrictive measures have been taken by countries and international institutions to deal with the issue of money laundering and funding of terrorism. Yet, terrorists, alone or with the assistance of others, always circumvent all these restrictions. Mujahedin-e-Khalgh organization is one such terrorist group. You may wonder how expenses of a group with a couple of thousand members are covered. People ask, how can an organization which was formerly on terror lists of countries such as Britain, Canada, and the EU pay the costs of building their huge camp, inviting international guests, and holding sumptuous gatherings in the largest European auditoriums? Let's take a look at the expenses of the MEK in the past few years. $1 million monthly for food and utilities of 2,300 members in the Tirana camp in Albania. $337,000 monthly for food and utilities of 200 members in France and the US. $105,000 monthly for clothing of 2,300 members in the Tirana camp in Albania. $23,000 for pocket money of members in the Tirana camp in Albania. $132,000 monthly for satellite broadcasting. $17,450,000 for holding conferences and periodical gatherings from 2014 to 2020. Only the expenses of speaking fees, plane tickets, and accommodation of speakers, excluding extra expenses. $61,000 for gym equipment in the Tirana camp. $609,000 for purchasing 1,700 personal computers. $136,715,000 for construction of the Tirana camp. $73,500 for sound and video equipment. Have you ever asked, how can the MEK cover all these huge expenses? Available evidence indicates that the MEK met its expenses at the beginning of the 1979 Islamic Revolution through bank robbery. They went to Iraq in the second half of the 1980s and received hundreds of millions of dollars of financial support from the former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein. Now the question is, how are the enormous expenses of an extremist terrorist cult which was once on the EU and the US terror list covered? Why should we be concerned? The MEK was an armed terrorist group with a Marxist ideology that murdered several American citizens in Iran in the 1970s. In the 1980s, this group's suicide bombings and blasts in public places led to the death of 12,000 Iranian citizens. And then they sided with the Iraqi dictator Saddam. Tens of international reports have been published on the assassinations and deception, money laundering, human trafficking, and cult-like acts of this group. Financial resources of this group are a threat to all of us. Shouldn't these costs be audited?